It's almost time for Auburn versus Baylor on Friday night. But how is Baylor going to cover Cam Coleman? Welcome on into the Auburn Express, powered by the War 4. I'm your host, Mike G. Turn us up, turn us on, we'll turn it out. I'm here with my good friend Caesar Walker to talk a little Auburn football. It's game week, Caesar. It's Monday morning. Every sleep gets us a little bit closer to Auburn football. They kick off the season August 29th, Friday night at 8 Eastern in Waco versus Baylor. On our live show, we talked about how this game breaks down, but more specifically on today's show, we're going to talk about who the best receiver in this game is and why it's Cam Coleman and how Baylor is going to cover him. Then we're going to give our predictions on what kind of day Mr. Coleman is going to have. Let's start at the top here. Before we started recording, we did a little research. It looks rough back there for the Baylor defensive backs. I personally think that on the Baylor side, it's being downplayed what kind of matchup nightmare this Auburn wide receiver group is going to be for them. Cam Coleman is going to be a name that is going to be at the top of everybody's list in terms of the SEC. He got voted preseason first team all SEC as a sophomore, as a true sophomore. And he's going to have a lot of eyes on him going into this matchup. Eric Singleton Jr. is going to be another name, but we're focusing on Cam Coleman, the number 5 overall recruit in the country, committing to Auburn last year, having a breakout freshman season, 600 yards, 8 touchdowns from the freshman, a campaign that he'll be looking to build on. Look, let's just lay it out here. How are they going to cover him? I have yet to hear from anyone in the Baylor media how they expect to cover Cam Coleman. It seems that they're just banking on Jackson Arnold's not going to be able to get him the ball.
That's the best defense, right?
Jackson Arnold bad.
There's a rumor. I'm gonna float this rumor out there that the Baylor secondary defensive coordinator have not been getting much sleep at night. Not because they're watching film on Cam Coleman. They're having nightmares, Mike, about how to cover this guy. And Mike, listen, Cam Coleman had 600 yards receiving, and Auburn didn't even use him properly last year. They started using him down the stretch of games, and he began to show out. Any Baylor fan, Baylor media will tell you that the secondary had a disappointing year last year. That's not an indication of how things are going to go this year. They could take a big step forward in terms of their production, but they got their work cut out with him because it's not. You can focus a lot of your attention on Cam Coleman, but you're going to have to match up one-on-one with these receivers because you can't double them. You can't cut you can't put a blanket around Cam. You have to guard him one-on-one, and that's where receivers like Cam Coleman shines because of his catch radius. Baylor has some DBs who are 6'1", that's pretty tall for a cornerback, but Cam Coleman is 6'3", Mike. Huge catch radius. He's winning more of those 50-50 balls that Auburn would expect for him to win. He poses, just from a physical standpoint, a huge concern and issue for Baylor in terms of how they're going to defend him one-on-one when those 50-50 balls get thrown his way. I'm curious to see how they use him, whether it's down the field, deep routes, or when they get into the red zone and try to hit him with a corner route, or just get the ball up to him and see what he does. There's going to be opportunities for Cam to flash his athleticism, and that poses a serious concern, a huge issue for the Baylor secondary.
I think it poses massive issues. Again, Caesar, I just don't think it's being talked about enough, right? Like, you're talking about a Baylor defensive back group that should be okay. I mean, they've got some solid returning experience there. But what I think is what Hugh Freeze has said since he's been on the Plains, it's something that I do subscribe to, at least to some extent. I think you still have to develop. But if you go out and you recruit dogs and you just recruit guys who are better at football than the guys that they played against their whole life, that will go out and just out-athlete whoever's on the other side of the field from them, and you have enough of those guys, you have a chance to win every single football game. This is what Hugh Freeze said when he came in the door. He said, look, man, we got to close the talent gap between us and the top of the league. That means getting the same type of guys that Georgia has had, that Alabama has had, that you've seen LSU have at wide receiver, at least, finding a quarterback in the mold of what these guys have had that have won championships recently. You have gone out and you've done that, and you've done that in spades. As a matter of fact, one of the first things he said when he got to the Plains was, we need guys with catch radius in this league, guys who can go up and win 50-50 balls, so that when the ball's in the air, it's no longer 50-50, it's 80-20, and the wide receivers, to the wide receivers advantage. He went out, he got those guys. Now, all you need is a quarterback that could put the ball in the zip code of a Cam Coleman or Eric Singleton. On our Sunday show, I talked about the accuracy of Jackson Arnold being the difference between whether this offense performs good and whether they perform great. And if he can be accurate with his ball placement, the greatness will be on shine here, I think, from Cam Coleman and Eric Singleton, Jr. and Perry Thompson and Horatio Fields. On A-Day, we saw Perry Thompson go out and make every single kind of catch for Deuce Knight. He caught accurate balls. He caught low balls. He caught inaccurate balls. He caught everything that was thrown at him on A-Day. And that's what you want to see from your wide receivers. If you're Baylor, you got to hope that an inaccurate Jackson Arnold can slow these guys down from getting yak yards and not bust this game wide open offensively. Because if this sounds like a bunch of propaganda, I will tell you, Auburn was one of the best big play offenses in the country last year. They just couldn't get it done in the red zone. But from a big play standpoint, Peyton Thorne was finding guys downfield. So the Jackson Arnold that beat Alabama, if that guy shows up, I got to think that he's going to find Cam Coleman early and often in this one.
One of the things I've been hearing about Jackson Arnold is he's accurate. Like he is actually accurate and can get the ball to the receivers, which is good. And we've seen him really, that Hugh Freeze he's talked over the past couple of weeks about how Jackson Arnold is basically taking what the defense gives him. He wants to be able to get first downs until you can't get any more first downs, right? And so that's a good thing, because what that speaks to me, Mike, is he's getting the ball to the receivers so that they can make plays afterwards. It's good to go for that home run play, Mike, but it's also good to see you actually be accurate and get the ball to those guys so they can do something afterwards. If you're accurate, guys aren't diving to the ground, can't make a play afterwards because they're risking their body just to make a catch, right? You don't want to see that in this offense, because, again, it really robs this offense of big playability, and it robs you of your talent being able to show what they can do in open field. If they're able to do that, Mike, I remember watching the Auburn Ole Miss game back in 2014. I don't know if you remember that game, Mike, but it was in Oxford, and Auburn was going against Ole Miss. Laquan Treadwell, remember that receiver? He got injured in that game.
Mm-hmm.
He was one of those dogs. He was one of those receivers who had a catch radius, and he was a nightmare when Ole Miss got him the ball because of what he could do. Auburn has a couple of guys like that, including Cam Coleman. If they're able to get the ball to Cam Coleman, like we saw Ole Miss do with Laquan Treadwell, the type of receiver that Hugh Freeze likes, it can be it was a long day for Auburn, and Auburn won that game. I couldn't imagine how Baylor's secondary, it will be a long evening, regardless of outcome, what Baylor's defense will have to deal with if they're getting the ball in the hands of these guys with the ability to get some yards after the catch. Mike, look out. It will be a fun night for Auburn and a miserable evening for a Baylor Bear.
Look, I don't know that this amounts to a hill of beans, but I just want to drop this tidbit. Not a single Baylor DB made the All Big 12 team. Not one. Right? Not by the coaches or the media. Auburn had two receivers, Cam Coleman and Eric Singleton, make first and third team All SEC respectively. Now, you and I voted in the preseason All SEC media poll, so I obviously voted Cam Coleman number one. Our media peers agreed, but the media voted Eric Singleton Jr. third team All SEC preseason. The coaches bumped him up to second team All SEC preseason. Again, it might be anecdotal, and it might be just a little tidbit here. There is a recognition by coaches and media alike that Auburn has all conference caliber players at wide receiver. And if you don't have all conference caliber DBs to guard them, I don't know how you stop them unless the quarterback stops them, which, as I mentioned at the top of the show, it seems that's what Baylor is counting on.
Or, there's a scenario where if you're Dave Aranda, and Dave Aranda over his coaching career has been known to dial up pressure. So if you're Baylor, do you go after Jackson Arnold? You may have to do that if Jackson Arnold is actually hitting his targets, because you have no choice. You don't want to. You're gonna if they're already on an island. If your quarterbacks are already on an island, you might as well go after the QB to attempt to throw his timing off. So that's one strategy that you may have to consider for Auburn is how does Jackson Arnold handle pressure, assuming Baylor goes after him, right? Mike. So I think that's something to consider. Or if Jackson Arnold, if prayers are answered, the football gods honor Baylor's prayer, and Jackson Arnold really is bad, that's probably the thing that you're hoping for. But if Jackson Arnold is running the offense, because again, you have to account for what he's able to do with his feet too, Mike. If he's giving Baylor something to be concerned of, and he's able to just drop back and hit receivers in stride, that's going to be a tough proposition for Baylor secondary, a secondary that's looking to get his footing back after a tumultuous 2024 season.
Mm-hmm. Couldn't agree more, Caesar. Look, what kind of day is Cam Coleman going to have versus Baylor on Friday night? We're going to project what we think right after a quick word from our sponsors. I want to thank our friends at the Vibe Vault. If you're in the Columbus, Phoenix City area and you're looking to get it fresh for the weekend, visit our friends at the Vibe Vault. You can find them at 3462 Crosswinds Road, Suite E in Phoenix City, Alabama. That's right next to the Renfro Supermarket and the Marco's Pizza, across the street from CVCC Community College. The Vibe Vault, not just barbers, lifestyle consultants. Also want to thank our friends at setsforsociety.ai. Visit setsforsociety.ai to get your custom personality assessment started today. Do you want to be a better teammate, a better coworker, maybe just a better partner? Setsforsociety.ai can get you started on that journey today. Their custom personality assessments let you know more about how you think, how people can think with you, how they relate to you. It's really important in today's day and age to be self-aware, and you can start your journey to self-awareness with setsforsociety.ai. Love what they're doing there. We appreciate them for sponsoring this segment. Also want to thank our friends at Golden's Cast Iron. Visit goldenscastiron.com/WR. Use code Get Your Weight Up for 15% off your weights, and code TWR for $65 off fire pits and Kamado grills. Get outside and grill or stay in shape with some Golden's Cast Iron weights. Work out, grill out, chill out with Golden's Cast Iron. And we want to give a big Auburn welcome to our newest sponsor, AIM and Associates. That's Abel's Iron More and Associates. Insight, perspective, results. Guys, Abel's Iron and More, they're independent fee-only registered investment advisors, which means they're fiduciaries required to always put their clients' best interests first. They've been doing just that since 2003. Jeff Iannone, the president, and his wife, Robin, are both proud Auburn grads and with two sons who have already graduated and one still on campus. You can tell this is an Auburn family through and through. What I like most about them is there's no minimum balance required. You don't need a ton of wealth, Caesar. You don't need to be rich. You just need to work and have a plan for the future, and they can help you. Just straightforward, honest financial advice built around you. Trust me, their approach is really different. So if you're ready for your financial advice you can trust, call Abel's Iron More and Associates at 912-777-4128. Again, that's 912-777-4128. Or visit AIMAINC.com. That's AIMAINC.com. War Eagle. The War Report has been compensated by Abel's Iron More and Associates for this endorsement. Abel's Iron More and Associates is a registered investment advisor. Registration as an investment advisor does not imply a certain level of skill or training. The information in this advertisement is for informational purposes only and should not be considered personalized investment advice. All investing involves risk, including the potential for loss of principal, and past performance is not indicative of future results. Get started today with AIM and Associates, proud sponsors of the War Report. Love that they have come on as sponsors, and they're Auburn people too. I can tell you, big misconception, Caesar, is that you need to have millions of dollars to need a financial advisor. You don't need millions of dollars. You just need to a paycheck and something you care about, and these guys can help you figure out what that looks like for your future. So please, guys, support those who support us by visiting their website today. The first conversation costs you nothing, so it's something that we are proud to support here at the War Report. Look, let's jump back into our conversation. Cam Coleman's going to have a day. I think he's going to have a day, and if he doesn't have a day, someone else is going to have a day, because they expect him to have a day, and they dedicate so much attention to him that someone is going to go off. Now, what kind of these days he going to have? I'm going to go first here. I think Cam Coleman's day looks like, let's call it 95 to, I'm going to go 110 yards. I'm going to go 110 yards, 2 TDs on the day for Cam Coleman. I've called this game repeatedly, so I won't save my prediction. 38-21. I think Auburn gets over the hump, and they score on the road. A lot of people think that that's really bullish based on what we've seen the first 2 years under Hugh Freeze offensively. But if they open it up the way I expect them to open it up offensively, I think Cam Coleman has a day on these DBs, and he'll be going up against what was the 9th best pass defense in the Big 12 last year. So, a lot of starters return there in that secondary. I mean, if they're going to be the 9th best conference pass defense going up against guys voted preseason all SEC, I don't see how they stop Cam Coleman from doing whatever he wants in this one, quite frankly. And if he's not going to do it, Eric Singleton is going to do it, Malcolm Simmons is going to do it, Perry Thompson is going to do it, or Horatio Fields is going to do it. But pick your poison. Does Baylor have enough guys to stop? Because doubling Cam Coleman is a bad idea.
That's not an option.
That's not an option. That's a bad idea.
Do not do that. Do not. Well, do that. Do that actually. and let's see what happens. I'm going to go in a different direction. I think Cam Coleman will make some big plays. I really think that Eric Singleton is going to make a big introduction into college football on Friday. I think he is who eats in this game, because I think a lot of the attention I believe Baylor has some decent guys on the boundary, but the issue with teams that are going to face Auburn is the depth of your secondary, right? So when you start talking about guys in the slot, that's Malcolm Simmons, that's Eric Singleton. How do your nickels match up with these guys? Because those guys are good too, Mike. And if those guys get the ball, I believe Hugh Freeze has cooked up some things to get these guys the ball. And I expect these guys to eat. I expect those guys to really begin to just pick away at Baylor's secondary and at their defense. I expect them to have an amazing day. I think Eric Singleton may go over 100 yards. I think Cam Coleman gets to maybe 80 or 90. I think he does well, but I think your leading receiver is probably going to be either Malcolm or Eric Singleton in this game, because I expect Auburn to find something there in their secondary that they're able to exploit, with all the attention going to Cam Coleman or whoever's lining up opposite of Cam Coleman, whether it be Perry Thompson or Horatio Fields. I think Cam will get his, but I think Eric Singleton, we've seen what he was able to do against Georgia, Mike. It was impressive. I don't expect him to struggle against Baylor's secondary.
Yeah, on the outside, right? Baylor's projecting Caden Jenkins and Tevin Williams III to start there on the outsides. But it sounds like what you're calling for is for a lot of work to be done from the slot, and which may be safety valve type work for Jackson Arnold, taking his checkdowns, making the smart throw, making the accurate throw. This is where that ball placement comes in that we talked about on our Sunday show. If you can hit these guys in stride and you can protect the football, don't lead them into DBs, put the ball only where it's them or nobody, then I think that you could be right. I could see this script playing out this way. But I also think Auburn learns from a mistake that they made last year. And that was this. Too many excuses were made for not throwing Cam Coleman the ball early in the season. I don't think they make that excuse this time. Now, I'm not saying throw it into triple coverage. That's not what I'm saying. But they also tried so hard to get it to the right guys, that they just did not get it to their playmaker. And quite frankly, like, last year, Ryan Williams is a great example of this. Alabama just got him the football.
Yeah.
So the only reason he had more yards than Cam Coleman was because they did it earlier and more often than Auburn did for Cam Coleman. Auburn figured it out over the last 3 or 4 games, but quite frankly, in my book, there was no excuse for not finding a way to get him the ball now more earlier in the season, except for the fact that he was injured in that stretch.
Right.
So I get it. But was the threat of having Cam Coleman on the field enough to help you win football games last year when he was hurt? No. So if he's hurt, get somebody out there who can go. That's why you recruited another top 30 overall player in Perry Thompson. Get him out there and get somebody who can make plays, because as far as I'm concerned, he may have been rated lower in terms of ranking, but in terms of pure ability, Perry Thompson's just as dangerous.
He's a baller.
So, that's where I see this going. Now you mentioned that you again, you're sticking with about 80 to 90 yards.
Oh, he's going to get some yards. So yeah,
okay.
He's getting the ball thrown his way, and I see him in a. I think they will try to hit him deep to see what'll happen. Auburn's definitely going to test that. Yeah. But I see him really. I see some him used as a possession receiver at times, because they're trying to get him the ball. They're trying to get Jackson Arnold established and comfortable, and he's going to be the beneficiary of that. But I expect Eric Singleton to really break off a run, to get loose in the second.
Yeah,
that's where those yards are coming from, is that they're going to figure out a way to get him in open space, and Eric Singleton is just going to dance. He's going to dance on Baylor secondary. That's what I'm expecting, and that's what he's going to be dancing. So that's what I'm expecting for some big plays coming from the slot in this game. And I think when it's all said and done, Cam Coleman will hit his targets. He may even get over 100, but I'm expecting one of the guys in the slot to really have a big day.
Boog on them in the end zone. We hope there's lots of end zone booging going on in Waco. I like that prediction. I'm sticking with Cam Coleman. I think he's the leading receiver here. I think he doesn't need a ton of catches to do it because of that deep ball that you're talking about, those big plays over the top like we saw versus Alabama, just more of them, maybe a couple 40-yard catches. I could see him with 3 catches for 110. That's the type of player he is. But hey, what do you guys think? What will be Cam Coleman's yardage total versus Baylor on Friday night? Hit the comment section. Let us know. Or if you think Eric Singleton will be the leading receiver or some other receiver in Auburn's receiving core, let us know what you think and how many yards they will go for in this one. And while you're in the comment section, do us a favor. Smash that super thanks button. Your financial support helps keep the work that we're doing at the War Report here going. Guys, please hit like and subscribe. We are the War Report on every social media platform. TW Report on TikTok. We're signing off, and as always, for